Hi, everyone. I know everyone's had a nice, beautiful week out here in Cannes. Is everyone seated so they can get some lunch today? And before we get started with the programming, I wanted to bring out Tanisha Hatter from the Barbados Tourism to kind of tell you a little bit about the lunch that you're going to have today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? Good. I hope you came hungry. Hungry for knowledge as well as for some amazing food and amazing cocktails. As Monique mentioned, I am from the country of Barbados. I work with the Barbados Tourism Board, and my job is probably one of the easiest jobs you will ever find. I get to invite people to my home. I get to give them and give you a reason to come to Barbados. I see a flag over there, represented everywhere. But Barbados is truly a special place, and a big part of what makes it special is our culinary offerings. And that's not simply the food that we produce, but also some amazing cocktails. So what we do as part of our activations and our partnerships is that we fly our chefs, we fly our mixologists to meet you, to bring you just a little taste of Barbados, to entice you, to get on that flight, get on that plane, and come and spend some time with us on our beautiful island. So it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you today our chef, Mr. Trevon Stout, and our mixologist, Mr. Alex Chandler. They'll tell you a bit about what you'll be having today.
Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon. How are we? I need a little more response. Good afternoon. That sounds like it. Barbados is full of life, and I want this session to be full of life as well. Yeah, we'll have some lovely cocktails and some amazing food. I said amazing food and lovely cocktails. I got no response. There we go, there we go. That's the energy that we want, and that's the energy that you get in Barbados. Yes? My name is Chef Trevon Stout. This is Mr. Alex Chandler or Mr. Alexander Da Vinci. Yeah? Today for lunch, we have a beautiful spread. We'll start with some canapes. So that's, should I leave it as a surprise or? Yes. I feel like I should. Today's full of flavor, and that's what I'll say. Yeah?
Hi, good day, ladies and gentlemen. So we have two beautiful cocktails from Barbados today. One is called Island Life. It reminds you of being on the beach, relaxing, the wind blowing through your hair, and just being in a beautiful place with beautiful people. And then we have another one that is called Sunday Breeze, which reminds me of my Sundays, spending time with family and friends and just chilling and relaxing. I hope you enjoy these cocktails and enjoy the flavor of the rum coming through the cocktails and really have a great time with our Barbados offering and everything we have here to showcase.
Thank you. Thank you to Barbados. Thank you. Considering that Novartis just came from their day of reflection, I thought I'd give you all some interesting perspective. Cannes Lions started in 1954. I've actually been coming here for almost the last 30 years, a part of it. And I have to tell you all that to see it look like this, it took over 60 years, and it took Adrian. Thank you, Adrian, for making this happen. But I think we need to reflect on that. So I want to say that I want to give a quote, one of my second favorite quotes. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive and to do some with some passion, compassion, humor, and a little bit of style. Okay, Maya Angelou. And so as I'm looking at this room, I think we represent all of that. And again, I think we should give it up for us, being able to be here, celebrate ourselves, but most importantly, have these really important conversations. Novartis is an innovative healthcare company that is reimagining medicine and wellness. They're building solutions with communities instead of for communities. And I think we can all appreciate that and understand what that actually means. A great example is their Beacon of Hope program. And we actually you're gonna hear from a Beacon of Hope recipient in the first panel. But it's a $50 million partnership with 26 HBCUs, 4 historically black medical schools, and it's a 10-year partnership where they're creating the infrastructure that is empowering and enabling each of these medical schools, okay? They've created 125 scholarships. It is really nice to be able to be in medical school and get some debt-free support and partnership. And one of those students, which is Dr. LaKendria, will be on the first panel. We'll get to hear from her. She is actually a recipient of one of those scholarships. So I want to bring up the person who will be leading the first panel, which is Shaping the Future of Work, Talent Innovation, and Inclusivity. Marion E. Brooks, he is the vice president, and he's the head of the U.S. for diversity and inclusion. He has led his team to generating over $1 billion in sales. I mean, can we celebrate that? And a little fun fact about Marion is that he is a certified executive coach, and he also is a best-selling author. So come on up, Marion.
Thank you so much, Monique. Hello, everyone. Ready to have some fun and get some great food? All right. So panelists, let's come on up. Come on out. They're a little shy. All right. So let's go ahead and have a seat, have some fun here. So why don't we go down and each one of you just introduce yourselves briefly before we get into the questions. Dr. LaKendria?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. LaKendria Brown. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I graduated from Xavier University of Louisiana, the only historically Black Catholic college in the United States. I've also just recently graduated from Meharry Medical College with my doctorate in philosophy, specializing in oncology and biochemistry research.
Yes.
And I am a first-generation college student and the first doctor in my family.
All right. Haji?
Hello, everyone. That's going to be hard to follow, but so I'm Hamid Umar, also known as Haji. So I'm part of the Novartis organization. I'm here today to represent One Young World, which I'll get into later on. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. I've been with the company for about 10 years, based in Switzerland, from the UK. So it's very nice to be here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you. Hannah?
Hi, everyone. Firstly, it's amazing to be here with you all. I'm Hannah Perry. I'm the Chief Diversity and Culture Officer at Novartis. So looking after DE&I and all culture across the globe, across our 130 markets for 78,000 associates. And also from the UK. I'm Welsh, which you may pick that up in my accent. And I'm a very proud dyslexic thinker. So we'll also get into a little bit about my neurodiversity story. But awesome to be here, folks.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Cheddar-Sherrill, and I'm an Associate Director on the U.S. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team. I specifically work on our diverse workforce acceleration that focuses on our talent attraction, retention, and the advancement of our diverse associates. I've been with Novartis for now over 3 years, and previously I've spent almost 20 years now in diverse talent pipelining as well as HR. Thank you.
Awesome. So, as Monique said, I'm Marion Brooks. I'm the Vice President and U.S. Country Head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Novartis, and I've been with the organization for 24 years. Yes, I started in an elementary school exchange. No, just joking. All right, so let's jump into the questions. So, Hannah, we'll start with you.
All right.
Novartis is committed to DEI, and we know that it's the lifeblood of success for our organization and for society. What are some of the practices and things that we're doing there that you feel are helping us to fulfill our commitment to equal opportunities?
Excellent. I mean, a really great first starting question. And I think Monique said it so beautifully when we started. What we're trying to do at Novartis is reimagine medicine. And we have to do that with our communities and not for them and to them. And for me, it's not only about the communities that we serve as patients, it's also about the associates that are a part of our organization who are also patients. And as we know, the diverse representation in our organization is fundamental to how we live our purpose. The first thing I'll say is our culture journey has been ongoing, right, since about 2018, since the appointment of Vas Narasimhan, who's our current CEO. And really, broad strokes, ultimately what we're aiming to do throughout our culture is to really ensure that we drive inclusion so that we can be clear that as part of being part of the global Novartis family, what we're trying to do is actually build a global community. There are so many programs that I could list. I mean, one that was amazingly mentioned is our Beacon of Hope, which I think we'll hear a little bit more about. I think some of the other things that we're really focusing on is what we're doing to drive mental health and wellness. You know, this is a huge topic for us globally right now. And I think as most organizations, we're really figuring out how do we better support our folks and our people. The other area for us that I think is also super duper critical is what we do in disability equity. So I mentioned, you know, I'm a dyslexic thinker, but that is a non-apparent disability. So we're really looking at both apparent and non-apparent disability and really seeing what more we can do through accommodations, but also how we look at our hiring practices and policies. The other thing that I'm super proud of as another example is what we do for parental leave. So we have a 14-week standard for parental leave across our whole 130 markets, which, you know, we see a huge uptake on birthing and non-birthing parents taking that. And I think for us, you know, the next iteration of that is to say, okay, but what about parental reintegration? So that's something that we're also powering forward and really working on. And I think I could go on here, right? But I'm conscious that we have time and we want to hear from others. The last thing I will say on the topic, Marion, to answer your question about what we're really doing, I think the biggest thing that I'm most proud of in this moment is, despite the noise and the challenge that we're hearing externally around the topic of DE&I, my organization is doubling down and really ensuring that we are remaining steadfast. So I am so proud to say that. And what I love is that every executive committee meeting that we go to these days, the first question I had is, and how do we do more? And how do we do better? And how do we keep going? So I think lots of incredible programs, but the commitment, the dedication, and the focus is absolutely there, and we will continue.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And just building on that, Tuesday we had our Day of Reflection, which commemorates Juneteenth. And it was our 5th year and the first one that we've had in person. And we've averaged about 5,000 associates participating each year in our Day of Reflection, where we come together as one Novartis to learn, grow, and reinforce our commitment to equal opportunities for all people. Some organizations have pulled away from Juneteenth celebrations. This was our biggest one yet, so it just reinforces our commitment to inclusion for all people. So Jenny, next question is for you. What strategies is Novartis employing to attract but also retain top talent?
Yeah, so our approach to the diverse workforce acceleration is to position Novartis as a competitive and inclusive employer of choice. And so we have a talent framework in place that really focuses on engaging and amplifying our employment brand. Some of the ways that we do that is going to be through our external partnerships that span across all dimensions of difference in areas of direct recruitment, professional development, and other recognition opportunities. And so some of the things, in addition to talent attraction in a traditional sense, one of our retention mechanisms are to engage our high potential and our top caliber talent and engage them and support them by investing in their opportunity to attend some of these professional development events. So not only is that a retention mechanism, but it also works twofold, because now they're advocates, they're ambassadors, if you will, to talk about our culture, to talk about some of our development programs that we have internally. We have something called the Multicultural Engagement Program, and that is focusing on African American, Black, and Latinx talent. And that is going to be around professional development. We also have one specifically for women called Leading Up, and then also the opportunity for other various learning programs. Additionally, we also look at some of the sourcing opportunities. There's a global AI-powered sourcing tool that allows us to tap into diverse talent that our global sourcing team utilizes. And then lastly, we have to make sure that we're mitigating bias in our systems and our processes and our behaviors. So we have a global commitment to ensure we've got hiring guidelines to ensure that we've got diverse candidate slates and also diverse interview panels. And honestly, it's exactly what Hannah said around the fact that we have a DEI team, that Novartis looks at DEI as a business accelerator for us to do the work that we do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. And when I think about opportunities in development programs, so according to the Harvard Business Review, only 5% of people in any company, any industry are considered high potentials. And they get access to information, training, and support that the other 95% of people don't receive. Now, that's actually 5% of white men. If you're a woman or a person of color, it's 1% or less. So these programs are built because it's not a lack of aptitude, it's a lack of access. And what we're doing at Novartis is ensuring that there's equal access so everyone can compete for the opportunities within the company. So, Dr. LaKendria, we're so proud of her, and you'll hear why in just a second. So
I feel like we need a round of applause for Dr.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
So you were a part of our Beacon of Hope program, and you benefited from a number of the different components of the program. Just share with the audience your experience.
The Beacon of Hope program, it was really great for me. So I first started out by applying for the scholarship. So I was awarded the 3-year scholarship with Beacon of Hope, which actually paid for my last 2 to 3 years of my degree for philosophy. So that was one aspect. And so having a scholarship, it opened doors for me to be a part of the mentorship program. And with the mentorship program, over the past 2-3 years, I've actually gained 7 mentors, and we are very active with each and every last one of them. They all showed up to my call when I defended my dissertation at Meharry. And so I was able to get into different opportunities. I was awarded many different awards and scholarships, such as AACR, which is one of the biggest international cancer conferences in the world. So I had some of my mentors show up for that, and I was actually awarded as one of the young scholars there. So it was a very great opportunity. But also with the mentorship program, they opened doors for us for different courses. So while I was in school, I was also able to take different courses that Novartis and the Beacon of Hope gave us. So we were able to take courses, gain certificates for those things, for different things that we were interested in, whether it was biology, science, AI, anything of that nature. So it was a really great opportunity, and is still thriving through it.
And she graduated with her PhD with no debt, and we were part of that, and we're really proud. So not forgiving debt, we want to make sure our young people graduate without debt, because if you have to make a decision on where you're going to work based on paying a loan versus where you think you fit in the world, it's a big difference. And so that's part of what we're trying to do there. And just to reinforce, the Beacon of Hope is a 10-year, $50 million partnership, not commitment, not pledge, partnership with 26 HBCUs and the 4 historically black medical schools. We're building infrastructure at our 4 historically black medical schools so they can actually do research. We often hear it's hard to find or get patients of color to participate in clinical trials. But it's critically important that we're in those clinical trials because we need to understand how the medications work on us. And so having people at the schools that look like us doing the testing and the training and the trials for us will make a big difference. And so that's a big part of our commitment. So Haji, thank you. Haji, tell us a little bit more about One Young World and programs like that that have helped really move you forward in your journey. You have an amazing story.
Awesome. Thank you, Marion. So I just maybe want to start off with just getting a show of hands in terms of how many people have actually heard the term One Young World.
Got 1.
2, 3. Amazing. Okay. 2, 3 out of a couple of much more. So I actually somewhat expected that kind of ratio, to be honest with you, just because of at the stage in which One Young World is at this stage, right? We're currently at a growth, and we're trying to expand as much as possible the awareness around the program. So maybe just to start off with, if it wasn't for the program, I actually wouldn't be sat here right now amongst these incredible individuals and colleagues. So One Young World is ultimately a global community of aspiring leaders, existing leaders. They all come together to try and address as an example, United Nations priorities on an annual basis. So Novartis, which I'm representing, this is ultimately on top of my day-to-day job. So I'm a tech enthusiast, so I've had a variety of technology-related roles within Novartis. I've had the ability to work in Switzerland, in the US, and then now I'm back in Switzerland. But ultimately what this program has instilled in me and what the opportunities that it's brought to me, not only this example here today, but it's created a network within an organization like Novartis where it strengthened our understanding of all the activities that are happening around many, many different topics. So, of course, I'm surrounded by some of my DE&I colleagues here today. And there are so many other topics when it comes to, like, for example, the environment, so all the ESG-related topics that we focus on. And the idea is to bring it back to the organization like Novartis and spread the message and come up with grassroots projects to try and promote some of these topics. So I'm literally one of hundreds, if not thousands, of representatives from Novartis. So I'm really happy here today to represent the entire community here with you today. So it's literally a saying that I picked up from dinner yesterday, actually, because I want to wrap up with this. It's along these lines. It's around the fact that I only had 2 to 3 people actually raising their hands in terms of awareness for this program. It's something that I have that you guys need to know, because I think it's super valuable, and I see a diverse set of faces in front of me now, and I think it could add value, whether you're with Novartis, outside of Novartis. It will really, really add value when it comes to those different types of topics in terms of the global community element as well, and helping to address those points.
Thank you so much, Haji. And if you're interested, please tap into him. He's a wealth of knowledge, and the program is phenomenal. So, Hannah, innovation is critical in any industry to stay relevant and to stay ahead. But there's also risk associated with innovation. How do you build a culture within Novartis as well as on your team to ensure that people take the necessary risks without feeling that failure will cost them in the long run?
Yeah, that's a huge question, but a really important one. I mean, as you said, innovation is who we are as an organization. As I mentioned, we're a healthcare company, and innovation is really where in the heart of science for us. But actually, it's not just about the science, right? It's how we innovate in practices in DE&I. It's how we innovate in some of our service areas and beyond. So I think for us, when I mentioned our culture earlier, and that building a global community, creating an environment which is inclusive where people thrive, a massive part of that is ensuring that people feel a sense of safety, right? And we all know the term psychological safety, or at least I think many of you will do. And often that's an outcome, right? We look at that as an outcome. And one of the things that as a team we're really trying to drive for is to say, how do we create the right environment and space where difference is celebrated and encouraged, because that is a different life experience, different lived experience is super, super important to us in terms of driving and fueling innovation. But also that we ensure that failing doesn't come, with major consequences, right? There's about how do you take smart risks? How do we really ensure that we have the space and place in our environment where, we can't only just do it in the labs, but we can do it outside. I think one of the areas that we've been working on this year, we actually built a culture leadership advisory board, which is built from amazing internal thought leaders, but also external thought leaders. So we've got folks like Amy Edmondson on there. We've got some, gold medal winning Olympians. But, one thing is their profile. The other more important thing is why are we asking them to help us, right? Because we know that for us to continue our journey doing what we need to do, culture is incredibly important. And one of the conversations we had 2 weeks ago when we got together was, okay, so folks, how are we doing and what more do we need to do? One of the things that we are really working on with their support right now is getting much deeper into our behaviors, right? How we show up for each other, how we support each other, how we ensure that we make each other extraordinary, which sound like, actually when you say them out loud, they sound like really normal things that folks should do. Honestly, in an organization where you're operating from countries like the US over to China, over to Japan, in India, such a global footprint, it actually becomes much more complicated. I would say, in addition to the work that we do in D&I, which for me should never be othered, it's a part of how we do things around here, it's our leadership, really focusing on what leaders we put in roles, how we support our leaders, how we ensure our leaders understand what's expected of them. The other thing I would add is learning and listening from our community, so our ERG groups. We recently had 170 of our leads together in Basel, and it was amazing because they're also the mirror to us, right? Part of my role is to listen to them and create a space for them. And I think we're doing good stuff, but we still have a long way to go. So I think, Marion, part of it for me is, yes, it's the psych safety, but it's what comes to create that as an outcome in ensuring people feel seen, heard, and that they can contribute. And I think our ERG community is the source of truth for us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hannah. One of my favorite quotes is from Nelson Mandela, and he says, "I never lose. I either win or learn." And that's how innovation comes forward. So you have to keep that in mind when you're going into any endeavor. Don't lose, learn. So I'm going to go back to you, Jenny. So how do we ensure that employees, not at Novartis, just in general, feel seen and appreciated? I saw something on Instagram the other day, and they were saying, the speaker was saying that a lot of the times people have given employees a bonus or they've sent them on a trip or something, and then when they resign, they're like, well, what happened? So how do we ensure that people feel seen, heard, and appreciated in today's climate?
Absolutely. So I mentioned a little bit about our development programs, and we've gotten feedback from our associates that have said after going through that program, they have been completely changed as it relates to executive coaching that they've received and how it's helped them really shape their career growth. And that's something that's critical at Novartis, is that you own your career development. It's not the manager's role, it's not the organization's, it's really yours. And so we have some different AI-powered resources called My Potential, which is an assessment that our associates can take that helps them understand what they are good at and then what are some areas of development based on where they want to take their career that they may want to focus on, and also use some of our learning opportunities called Match Learn, which is also a learning catalog. Additionally, I mentioned a little bit about our external partnerships. We really look to recognize our individuals that are seeking professional development and our top caliber talent. And what we do is we also like to showcase them, whether it be on platforms of speaking engagements, panels such as this, to show them that we want them to represent Novartis and that they embody our values and behaviors. And finally, the ERG Summit was fabulous. We had over 100 people that attended. And I think what was consistent with what we do at Novartis is listening to our people. So one of the most compelling activities we did there at the ERG Summit was we all had cards that said, "What is your why?" And it was so impactful. I was still energized. And to go around the room to hear everybody's stories as to why an employee resource group is important to them, why it helps them stay at the organization, and how they found a community by doing the work they love to do every day as themselves. So I would say that's one of the most recent impactful things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. So as Monique said, I'm an executive coach, so I'm going to give you people leaders a quick tip, right? Ask your employees what is important to them versus thinking you know what's important to them, and focus on developmental plans. People want to know that you're just as invested in what they do as who they are. And so make sure that you're doing that. So next question, I'm going to come back to you, Dr. LaKendria. So looking at the job market, what should organizations like Novartis be doing to attract diverse talent, retain that talent long term?
There are many different things that companies should be doing, especially like Novartis. I think us young people, we're looking for opportunities where, one, we feel included. Novartis does an amazing job of that. Diversity and inclusion is one, but we also are delving into a new world. So we're looking at remote opportunities, hybrid opportunities, work-life balance. Like, people don't want to just go to work, and just feel like they're just working to survive. Like, people want to work to live. And so those things are also important when we're looking at different job opportunities. As well as with Novartis, of course, a biopharmaceutical company. For someone like myself, I'm looking for different aspects where the company is invested in the patients, in the clients, not just into making money or just finding different therapies and just putting it out there without doing the actual work. So we are also looking at like personalized incision therapies. So those are some things that are very important to me when I come down to looking for a job. Like, what are you doing to advance the technology? What are you doing to advance it in the clinical aspect, especially with minority groups, especially African American patients, for me? So those are some of the things that I look at. Are you invested? Are you compassionate? Or is it just a money-making business? Like, we need to include everything, and you have to uphold or be of standard. Like, you have to have a good ethic value in your company. And so those are things that I look at.
I love that. Be committed long term.
Long term.
Long term. So, do we have any questions from the audience? I have 2 more questions for the panel, but we've been talking to you. We want to hear from you now. Any questions, comments from the audience? Raise your hand. I know there's some mics out there, I think. We have a question over here to the left of the stage. I think they're coming with the microphone.
But the food is looking good, actually.
Yeah, the food is
Food's coming out. It looks great.
I can't wait to
Good?
taste it. Yeah, right over here in the white. You raise your hand. We have an extra mic.
Extra mic.
Yeah, we have an extra.
Oh, well done.
Thank you, Nakia.
And here's an extra.
This is a kind of a broad stroke question. So I support an organization. I'm actually rebuilding their endowment. It's a 70-year-old legacy nonprofit organization in the U.S. First African-American leadership role in consulting, advising to rebuild this endowment. But this organization is called the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential. They work with brain-injured children, and they have 70 years of clinical research on brain-injured children. And one of my goals is to align that 70 years of archived data with organizations and leadership like yourself, and find a way that we can tap into the HBCU network to utilize that data, because that data has not been shared with anyone, right? It is the largest archive of research on brain-injured children in the world. They've worked with 25,000, they've supported 25,000 kids in over 135 countries around the world. So I'd like to communicate with the few of you up there about how we can engage and utilize. I'm in the process of transferring that data into data sets to run some models on it with a quantitative group out of Switzerland to be able to utilize that in partnership with some of the HBCUs. That'll be awesome. That actually, that'd be a celebration for me if we can make that happen. I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. Hannah, you want to take this one?
Thank you.
I'm going to come and find you when we get off the panel so we can have more of a conversation because, look, firstly, thank you for that. And neuroscience is one of our therapeutic areas, so let's have that chat. So, yeah, let's discuss, see what we can do.
And we have the relationship with all 4 of the HBCU medical schools, so we can get that done. Any additional questions?
Yes. Do we have any more questions? Come on. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Hey. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Sequoia Databay Glenn. I'm the founder of 924 Cooperative, which is an amazing data-driven agency focused on culture first and then strategy, analytics, and market research. So market research is in the house. So question, I think, Jenny, you mentioned it earlier about diversity within sourcing. So as a startup, what are some of the things you all look for when you're searching for diverse owners? I know several of us are part of the startup initiative here at CAN. So I want to see a couple of things that you would say you kind of have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready so we can work with companies and corporations like you around the world.
Yeah, I think what's really great about our recent team is that we have a supplier diversity team that now reports into DEI, which gives more flexibility around opportunities with technology so we can get more access to the different businesses that fall into those categories. And additionally, we have a presence at some of those external partnerships as well to talk a little bit more about what our commitment is to the external marketplace.
So Will Holmes is on our leadership team, on my leadership team in the U.S. He leads supply diversity. So it would be, I think, let's talk. I'd love to connect you with him so we can understand a little bit more and see where the connection points are.
I mean, isn't it so nice to see a company at a time where DEI is being challenged, removed, and almost as if it's not an important conversation. So thank you to you all at Novartis for making sure that not only are you talking about, but you're actually executing and connecting and doing the things that the program is supposed to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
One right here.
Okay. Stand up.
On that note, how have you guys dealt with any internal conflicts in the kind of attacks on DEI that have happened in, say, the last 12 months?
Yeah. Say that again.
I'll speak up. How have you guys dealt with any, on that note, how have you dealt with any attacks on the DEI movement in the last 12 to 18 months?
I'll
You
take
go
this
ahead.
one. Yes, I'll take this one. So every organization is a microcosm of society. So you have different factions within organizations. It comes from the top, and what are we really committed to? As Dr. LaKendra said, long term. And at Novartis, we're committed. We are locked in. We've expanded our teams. We've expanded our programs. This is the first year that we're here. So think about that. This is the first year that we are here. Our beacon of hope, as I said, is not a commitment. It's a partnership. That money is allocated. If we decided not, we have to continue to provide that money. So I think long-term commitments make the difference. And I'll say from Hannah and myself, our partnership with legal. Before the Supreme Court overturned affirmative action, we already knew what was coming. So for a year and a half before then, so where other companies were reacting, we were ready to respond and make leadership and everyone else in the organization comfortable and understand this is our plan, this is what we're going to continue to do. Here are the areas that we may even adjust. So we went through a red, yellow, green. These are our initiatives and programs, red, yellow, green after the Supreme Court decision, because we didn't know which way it was going to go. So we just responded. We didn't have to react.
So I think this is a great way to kind of segue to the next conversation. But Marion, I would love for you to give just like one piece and takeaway to this group here today.
So Jenny mentioned this, and I would say whether you come to Novartis or you're in a different industry or a different organization, make sure that you are clear about what your expectations are and where you're trying to go. I have so many people coming to me for advice and they want coaching or they want direction. And I say, well, where are you trying to go? And oftentimes they don't know. No one can help you get there until you get clear on where you want to go. Once that happens, then people can help you to navigate. And also know that one decision today, like years ago, my whole objective was to become a regional sales director and then I could die. Right? And then I got into marketing, and then I got into DEI. So I adjusted my plan and my strategy, but it's much easier to adjust a plan than to create one, especially in a crisis. So get a plan.
I love that. So don't be afraid of the pivot because the evolution of self is forever. It should be, right?
It should be, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone up there. Thank you to Novartis.